To begin our dragon eyes, we need to design the eye first. Use your little gem that you're going to be given and trace around with a pencil, and then outline it with a Sharpie. Then think of a shape or a line that you could add in the middle for the pupil. Next, add some color. You can use colored pencils or crayons. I recommend not using markers for this because we're going to put glue on it in a minute, and the glue might cause the marker ink to run. So use colored pencils or crayons if that's what you have. Next, take your scissors and cut out around your circle and put some glue on the front part of the eye where the color is. We're going to glue this to the back of the gem so that we can see it through that clear gem. Press and hold for about 10 seconds and then set it off to the side. When you open your Model Magic, it will look something like this. Now notice that I'm working on a plastic baggie because I don't want anything from my table to stick to the clay. It might be a good idea to work on a bag or make sure that your table is clean so that nothing sticks to the clay. Then take some scissors and cut 3 equal parts. If you don't have scissors, you can just pull the clay apart into 3 equal parts. Set 2 of those parts to the side, and we're going to only use 1 of those right now. What we're going to do is create the base of the dragon eye first. And what you need to do is kind of squish the clay in your hands, kind of soften it up a little bit so that it is pliable and flexible and stretchable. I like to do something called a stretch and fold, where I'm stretching and folding the clay. This is called kneading the clay. Then roll it into a ball and flatten it out with your hand, the palm of your hand. This might take a couple of tries. Continue flattening it out until you have a little slab. Next, take some markers, and we're going to use these to color right on top of the clay to add some of that marker ink and some of that color to the white clay. All I'm really doing here is just using that thick side of the marker tip and going right over top of that clay, and then I'm going to roll it and kind of flatten it out a little bit so that what I'm doing is rolling that ink into the clay. And I'm going to do that a few times, so it's a process. You add the color, roll it, add the color, roll it, add the color, roll it, and continue doing that about 3 to 4 times until you're ready to knead that color into the clay. Okay, so now I'm going to do that stretch and fold method that I showed you earlier. This is again called kneading the clay. And I'm doing this kind of quickly and fast forward. It does take a little bit of time to get the color to come out. And you'll also notice that the color is a little bit lighter. It's not a solid red, it's more like a pink because the white from the clay mixed with the red ink to make pink. So then you're going to flatten it out again into a slab, kind of an oval shape or a round shape, whatever shape you want for your dragon eye. And we're going to actually, let's take a look at how thin that is. We don't need it to be super duper thin, not paper thin, but we don't want it to be super thick either. Put it back on the bag, take your dragon eye and press just gently into the clay. And from here, we just need to set this off to the side while we work on the eyelids of the eye. Piece of that clay that you originally cut off and knead it and make it soft and pliable again by tossing it around in your hand, squishing it, kind of kneading it, folding it, stretching it, and then make another slab. Pick another color then with your marker, and we're going to add some color to this little slab now as well. Just repeating the exact same steps that we did earlier when I made the pink part, the base of the eye. So adding some color and then rolling it up, flattening it out, and then adding some more color anywhere you see white clay. Roll it back up, flatten it out, add some more color. And after about 3 or 4 times of doing that, then you're ready to start kneading that color into the clay and turning it into whatever color you picked. Back and forth, back and forth. All right. Roll it back up when you're ready to press it into a slab once again. And we want this slab to be about the same size as our first slab, because this is going to be the eyelids of the dragon eye. So you want it to be roughly the same size. So just stretch it and pull it gently to where it's about the same size. Okay, then you're going to take some scissors and cut lengthwise in half. One is going to be the top eyelid, one is going to be the bottom eyelid. And all you're going to do then is just press that onto your base with a little bit of the glass gem sticking out. So you can overlap slightly, but you do still want to see that gem. There we go. Top eyelid is done, and then repeat on the bottom for the bottom eyelid. Now, Model Magic does like to stick to itself, so once you press it on there, it's really, really hard to get it back off. So before you press and before you stick it on, make sure that you have it the way that you want it, because it's really tough to get it back off. Okay, then you're just going to go around gently pressing those edges and make sure that it's stuck on there good and tight. And then what you can do if you want to add a little bit more point to the ends, you can kind of gently pinch a little bit with your fingers at the corners of the eye. Just gently pressing, gently pinching, and forming kind of a point. Almost looks a little bit like a football shape. And there we go. Now, the last step, if you'd want to do this today while the clay is wet, is to add a little bit of texture onto the base of your dragon eye. And you can do this with a marker, just dotting and making some little indents, some colorful indents with the marker tip. You don't have to do this part, but I just want to add a little extra detail to my base. And I'm going to also add some extra details next time. But I wanted this to jazz up my base a little bit, make my dragon eye look a little more interesting. Next time you come to art, we're going to use that last little piece of clay that we have sitting here to add some extra details and press on some more three-dimensional details to the dragon eye. So things like coils, braids, scales, dots, little lines, things like that. So this extra little piece of clay, if you were at home, you need to put it into a bag so that it doesn't dry out. If you are in the classroom, you need to bring it over to me and I will save it for next class.